Good morning, students. In today's lecture, we will study what are the different loop statements available in C language and what are its requirement, where we are required to use the loop, and all the programs related to loops will be covered in this lecture. I will try to tell you maximum of the programming concept related to loops. Now, in the previous lectures, we have already studied what are different expressions, what are different operators provided by C, and what are different conditional statements that we have covered in previous lectures. If else, switch case, nested if else, if ladder, all those conditional statements have been covered in previous lectures. And in today's lecture, we will study about the loops. What the loop is. Loops are used when we want to execute part of program or block of statement many times. If you want to execute certain code or certain set of code repeatedly up to particular situation, in that place we will prefer to use the loop statement. It can execute part of program repeatedly up to certain condition, up to the particular condition is true, or it can execute the set of code up to the condition is true. Means whenever the repetition of code is required, we will use the concept of looping. There are three types of loops provided by the C language: for loop, while loop, and do while loop. Firstly, we will cover while loop. While loop is also called a entry controlled loop. In any loop, in any repetition concept, we want to execute particular set of statement repeatedly. Repeatedly means we want to execute the code up to certain number of time. Let's say if I want to print hello, single printf is sufficient to print the hello. But if I want to print hello 1000 times, then is it better to use printf 1000 times? No. If you want to print hello 1000 times, we must put this printf statement in some loop, and the loop will automatically repeat that. And here in any loop, if you want to do repetition of certain instructions in any loop, we have to perform 4 tasks. Firstly, we have to initialize some counter variable, and for this initialization we will use some variable and initialize that variables with some initial value, and this is just for counting how many times the instructions has been executed. Next, we write while, and in bracket we put the conditional test expression, means condition will be put over here, and whatever the code you want to execute will be written in this open close curly braces of while that is called the loop of this body of this loop. Means here the body of while loop will be written. Whatever instructions we want to execute repeatedly up to the certain condition satisfy has to be written at this place where I have written body of the loop. Here the instruction will be written, and at last whenever we are going to close the curly braces of this while body, there we will increment the variable that we have used as a initializer, the counter. We will increment the variable, or we can decrement the variable, that we also call iterate the variable, so that the variable value may be changed, and after that iteration the control will go to the condition again. Here we will study how the while loop works. Here is the flow chart. First the initialization will held, then the condition will be tested, and if this condition is okay, if this condition is true, then only the body of the loop will execute. Since whether the body of the loop will execute or not depending upon the condition, and this condition is being tested at the beginning of the body of the loop. That's why while loop is also called the entry controlled loop. And if the condition becomes false, the control will not move to the body of loop. Okay, and in this place where I have written body of the loop, here we will increment or decrement the counter variable, and from here the control will move to the condition again, and if the condition becomes true again, the next time also the control will move to the body of the loop and the instructions written there will be executed, and then the counter variable will be incremented or decremented. Again the control will move to the condition. If again the condition is true, the control will move to the body, and repeatedly it will continue to be held until the condition is true. The control will come out of the loop only when the condition is false, and the rest of the code will be executed. Clear? Means whenever we want to perform some repetition, we have to perform 4 tasks. First, initialization. Second, we will test the condition. Then we will execute the instructions that has to be executed repeatedly, and at last we will increment or decrement the variable. Here I have written the body of the loop that contains 2 parts. First, the instructions whatever you want to execute in the body, and second the updation of the counter, whether it may be decremented or incremented. Next, now how this will execute? Firstly, the initialization will be done before the loop starts. Then the condition will be tested, and if the condition is true, then the body of the loop is executed, and then the loop variable is updated. It may be either incremented or decremented. Again the condition is evaluated, and if this time also if it becomes true, the body of loop execute again, and this continues as long as the condition is true. When the condition becomes false, then loop terminates and the statement outside the loop will be executed. This way we may use this concept to repeatedly execute particular set of instructions, and in any loop these 4 tasks are always done. First, the loop counter variable will be initialized, then the condition will be tested. After that, if the condition is true, the loop body will executed, and then the counter variable is updated. That is also called loop variable which updated, and again the condition is tested. This way the repetition keep on going if the condition becomes true. If the condition becomes false, the control will come out of the loop, and the rest of the code outside the loop will execute it. Now I have written some of the program to explain the concept. Firstly, write a program to display first 5 natural number. Here I have written the main function. There is a variable I, clear screen. Then I initialize the I have initialized the value of I variable to 1, and then the condition is tested as the syntax I have already explained you. While I is less than equals to 5, if this condition is true, since I is 1, that is the condition is true here, and so since the condition is true, the loop control will come to the body of the loop and I will be printed as 1. And then the I is updated, the loop variable is incremented. Since I have started it from the 1 and I want to go it to up to the 5, that's why I have incremented here, and I becomes 2. And once the I becomes 2, the condition will again tested, is 2 is less than 5, again it is true. That's why the loop will again come to the body control will come to the body of this loop, and I value 2 will be printed. Then I again updated, and this keep on going, and this way 1 2 3 4 5 will be printed. Okay, when the I becomes 6, again the control move to the condition, and since this condition becomes false now, that's why control will not go to the body of the loop, and 6 will not be printed, and control come out of to this getCH function, and program terminates here. This way we can understand that how the while loop works. And while loop, since whether the I will be printed or not depends upon and the condition is tested to the beginning of the loop, entry of the loop, that's why it is also called entry control loop. The next loop that we are going to study is for loop, and for loop syntax is this. Here the same 4 concepts are to be done: initialization, condition and updation, and body of the loop. Initialization, and loop will always run in the similar fashion. Firstly, the initialization will be done. Initialization is the single step process. After that, the condition will be tested, and if the condition is true, the control will come to the body of the loop, and whatever you have written here will be executed. But if the condition is false, the control will not go to the body of the loop, and after the body of the loop executed, the control will again come to the updation part, where we have either incremented or decremented the loop variable. And after updation of the loop variable, control will come again to the condition, and if the condition true, it will again go to the body of the loop. Then increment, decrement, condition, body of the loop. Increment, decrement, condition, body of the loop. It will keep on going until the condition is true. Whenever the condition becomes false, the control will not go to the body of the loop, and it will come out of the loop, and the statement will be X will be executed only when the condition becomes false. And the flow chart for this is initialization. Then after initialization, the control will go to the condition part, and if the condition is true, the loop body of the loop will be executed, and then after the updation of the loop variable, the control will again go to the condition, and if condition again becomes true, loop body will executed, updation of the loop variable will be had, and condition again tested in the similar way as I have explained earlier in the while loop. And once the condition becomes false, the control will come out of the loop, and the rest of the statement of the program will execute. Now, what are the steps? First, initialization will be done. It is only once whenever the loop is started. Condition of the loop is then evaluated, and after that, if the condition becomes true, then the body of the loop will be executed, and the loop variable will be updated again. After that, the condition will again tested, and if it again become true, then the body of the loop will execute again, and loop variable will be updated again. This continues until the condition is true. Whenever the condition becomes false, then the loop terminates, and the code written after the loop body will be executed. I have written a program to understand the for loop. Write a program to display first 10 natural numbers using for loops. Here I have started the main function, taken a variable I, initializes the value of I as 1, then the condition is tested. If I is less than equals to 10, control will come to the body, and I will be printed. Okay. Then I will be incremented by 1, it becomes 2, 2 is less than equals to 10, again true, control will come to the loop body again, and 2 will be printed. Then I will be incremented as 3, then the condition will be tested, 3 is less than equals to 10 is true again, then the control will come to the body of the loop, and 3 will be printed again. After that again I will be incremented by 1, becomes 4. 4 is less than equals to 10, again true. Control will come to the body of the loop and 4 will be printed. It will keep on going and I becomes 10. 10 is less than equals to 10, again true. The control will come to the loop body of the loop, I will be printed, and again the I becomes 11, and 11 is less than equals to 10 becomes false. That's why control will not go to the body of the loop, means 11 will be not printed, and get ch. After that the main function will be terminated. This way 1 to 10 will be printed by for loop. Then the next loop is do while loop. Do while loop, here the syntax for this is why the same 4 concept will be followed here also. Initialization, then we write the do keyword and we start the body of the do while loop, and after the body we write while in bracket condition semicolon. Please note that we generally missed, the student generally missed to write this semicolon here. The same, this loop is also called a entry control loop. This loop is also called a exit control loop. While loop is called entry control loop and do while loop is called exit control loop, because the condition here in do while loop, the condition is tested at the end of the loop. If the condition becomes false at very first time also, then also the control will come to the body of the loop and it will execute. First time the condition becomes false, then also the control will come to the body, and then after the condition is tested, again it will not go to the body. But this loop is very much important whenever we want to execute certain set of instruction at least one time. Whenever we want to execute particular set of instructions at least one time, whether the condition is true or false, in that situation we will use this do while loop. The design perspective for while loop is whenever how many times the instructions must be executed are unknown, it's anonymous. You want to execute the repetition anonymously. In that situation we will prefer the while loop. Whenever we want to execute the instructions at least one time, the instructions written in the body are to be executed at least one time, in that situation we will prefer this do while loop. And the design perspective for the for loop is that whenever we are very much certain about how many times the loop body must executed, or if it is fixed, the number of repetition are fixed, in that situation we must use this for loop. Any task may be done by any loop, but the design perspective for each and every loops are different. As I have already explained, do while, if at least one time you want to execute, for fixed number of time you want to execute, and do while loop whenever you don't know how many times you want to execute. This way I have written a code, and what is the flow chart for the same is here. Initialization is done, then loop body entry in the loop body will started. We have just moved to the body of the loop without checking any condition, and after the body execution the loop variable is updated and again the control condition will be tested, and here if it is true, again we will come to the body and it will keep on going until the test condition is true. Whenever it becomes false, the the instructions written after the loop body will be executed. It is same as the other loop. Only difference as I have explained in between these three loops. This is the steps that I have already explained to you all. Now this is first, I want to display first 10 natural numbers using do while loop. This program I have written to better understand how the do while loop works. Here the same I is initialized as 1, do, then loop body. Here I have printed I, then I is updated, I plus plus, and then the condition is tested. Let's say I equals to 1. Loop will, the control will come to the loop body and I 1 will be printed. Then I becomes 2 and then the condition is tested. 2 less than equals to 10 is again true. Control will move to the loop body again and this 2 will be printed. Now I becomes 3. 3 is tested, that 3 is less than equals to 10 will be tested. It again is true. Then the control will go to the body and 3 will also printed, and it will keep on going, and when I becomes 11 the control will come out of the block and the main function terminates. This is the output from 1 to 10. Difference I have already covered. What is the difference between while and do while? In while loop, test condition is pre-test, means it is also entry control loop, and there is no semicolon in the loop after the loop condition. It is executed 0 or more times. But in do while loop, it is called exit control loop because the test condition is tested after the loop body. First the loop body executed, then the condition is checked, semicolon is put after the condition, and it execute 1 or more times. Means if you want to execute at least 1 time, we will use this do while loop. Then for and while. For initialization of the loop variable is done with the loop condition. Here in while, initialization of loop variable is done before starting the loop. It is used when number of iteration are known. For loop is used when fixed number of time you want to execute, and while loop is generally used when number of iteration are unknown. For loop takes less line of code, but while loop takes more line of code, as you have already seen in the syntax. Here are some programs related to loops. Write a program to print the sum of all numbers up to a given numbers. If we want to add sum of all numbers, let's say I want to add first 10 numbers. So we will start loop from 1 to 10 and we will keep on adding those, and I have written this program. Started main function. Whenever you want to add something, firstly we initialize some variable to 0 because the storage class of the variables that we are using here is automatic, and the initial by default initial value of the automatic storage class variable is garbage value. That's why whenever you want to add something to some variable, it already contains some garbage value, and if we will add something, it will be added to that garbage value. That's why whenever you want to add something to the variable, we should initialize that variable by 0 so that the previous garbage value may be overridden. So that's why I have initialized sum as 0. Then I have started this, I have printed a message, enter a number, and this number I have kept in a variable n. This variable is that value up to which we want to add some number. Let's say n value of n is 10, means we want to add from 1 to 10 numbers and we want to print the sum of that. For that I started, since here the number of counter is already known, I want to add 10 numbers. That's why I started the loop from 1 to n. N is already taken input from this above scanf function. I equals to 1, 1 is less than equals to n. Let's say n is 10. So 1 is less than equals to 10 becomes true. Control will come to this body, and I have added this value of I, that is 1, to the sum, that is already 0. Is 0 plus 1 will be updated to the sum, means sum equals to 0 plus 1 means 1. Now then, after, as we already know, after the instructions, after the loop body, the control come to the updation, means I plus plus, the control will move to the I plus plus, I becomes 2, and now again the condition is tested whether the 2 is less than equals to 10 or not. If it is true, means 2 is less than equals to 10 is true. Control will come to again to the body. Sum equals to sum already contains ones, the 2 will be added to that. This way all the values up to that n will be added to the sum. Once the loop is completed, then this sum may be printed like this. This way we can add the numbers from 1 to n, means up to some given number. Here is the output. If I have entered n as 4, means 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 will be added, that will become equals to 10 and 10 will be printed. Next, what are the logic to compute the factorial of a given number? Let's say I want to execute the factorial of 4. Let n is equal to 4. Then I have taken, I have started a variable f, I have initialized the variable f as 1, and there for loop I have initialized a variable I equals to 1, and up to n I will keep on moving the value of I from 1 to n, and whenever it is less than equals to n, I will keep on multiplying it with f. This way the final value of f will be the factorial of that number. I have already written this program. Let's have the look for that. I have started the main function. There I have declared a variable n for taking the number of which I want to find the factorial. I is for loop variable, and I have initialized f equals to 1 because I want to keep on multiplying the numbers up to that particular number. Means if I want to find the factorial of 5, then I will keep on multiplying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to f, and finally I will multiply this to the loop body, and finally once the loop will completed, the f contains the factorial of that variable n. And that's why since I want to multiply the numbers to this f, that's why I have initialized it as 1. Then I have written a message to enter a number, and I scanned that to a variable n, and this is the number to which I want to find the factorial. Then I will start a loop from 1 to that n, and I will keep on multiplying this I to this f. I will move from 1 to n. If n is 5, I will move from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It will keep on multiplying in f, and f will keep on updating. And once the loop completes, this is the factorial of that number, and I will just print that factorial. Okay, if I have entered n as 5, the factorial becomes 120. Here, firstly, let n is 5. I is initialized as 1. 1 is less than equals to 5 is true, again true. Then the control will come to the body. F equals to f into I. F is initialized as 1, means 1 into I is 1. 1 into 1 means f is 1. Now I will be updated to 2. 2 is less than equals to 5, again true. Control will come again to the loop body, means f is equal to f into I, means f value is 1. 1 into 2 will be evaluated. Similarly, 1 into 2 into 3 will becomes 1 f, then 1 into 3, 2 into 3 into 4, and this way the factorial will be evaluated, and after the loop body we will print that factorial. Then I have written a program to find the sum of all the even or odd numbers up to a given number. Here is the logic. I will just move to that program part. Here is the program, and we have to find the sum of all the even and odd numbers. For that I have taken a number n to which I want to find the sum, and for that I have created a loop from 1 to that number, and means I will be updated from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to n, and I have just checked whether the value in this I is divisible by 2. If it is divisible by 2, that I value will be added to the even, otherwise it will be added to the odd, and after the loop the even or odd value will be printed. This way we can find the sum of all the even numbers from 1 to up to given number n. Okay, we will here, if I add 5, the numbers 1, 3 and 5 will be added to odd, it is 9, and 2 and 4 will be added to even, that is 6. This way we can find the sum of even or odd number up to n. Okay, okay students, we will meet in the next lecture, and there also we will continue to the looping concept. Thank you, thanks a lot, we will meet again.